It is Monday on Daily Delivery. Patrick Reusse here with me. I am Michael Rand. Lot of stuff to get to, Patrick, off of what we knew was going to be a very big sports weekend. But Twins, Vikings, Gophers, maybe a little bit of Minnesota United talk at the very end. We got to start with the Twins, though, Patrick. They are in the playoffs, lost 6-4 in game one on Saturday. Kind of a predictable outcome, even if they rallied a little bit later. But Sunday, Patrick, my goodness, they come back and win 6-2. That was as we haven't had a lot of Twins playoff wins to talk about, period, obviously, in the last 2 decades because of the 18 game losing streak. But even dating back a ways, they just haven't even played games like that where it felt like they were kind of in control of that one. And so much of that tone, Patrick, set by Pablo Lopez and Carlos Correa, the two guys that just showed up huge on Sunday.
Yeah, Lopez was fabulous about the fourth or fifth or sixth inning. I was saying, considering how modern pitchers are used, opposed to when Frankie and Morris were leading the Twins to World Series championships. That was right up there with a memorable Twins starts because 7 innings, he was brilliant. In the old day, he hit 100. They would have tried to get another inning out of him in the old days, but the fact that Rocco basically said before the game, we're gonna run with him, and they let him run with it. Man, he was good. And he had a very inconsistent, small strike zone to pitch to, too. So what's amazing to him is amazing with him. Each corner he worked that rectangle of that batter's box, unbelievable, with a variety of pitches. One of the things that it wasn't until late that he really threw many changeups either, and his changeup is a devastating pitch when he's throwing as hard as he does. But he's a professional pitcher, that's for sure, and it was a brilliant performance, and had Houston hitters frustrated, and McCormick threw a fit because he got called out on a pitch about an eighth of an inch off the plate, and that's when you know they're frustrated, when they don't want to swing the bat. They had no idea what was coming and where it was going to be. That was a brilliant performance by Pablo Lopez. And all of us who lamented the loss of Luis Arraez, and I certainly did for the first half of the season when their hitting was as terrible as it was. This guy, they obviously wouldn't be in any kind of position like they are now if they hadn't gone and got him. And it also looks pretty wise that they went and signed him and gave him $70-some million like 2 weeks after he got in, 2 weeks after they watched him pitch. So it was brilliant. There's no doubt about it. It was great.
Correa too. I'll get back to Lopez in a minute, but man, Correa, this whole postseason. I mean, we know somebody's reputation, but sometimes reputation is only that because the season he had didn't give you any indication that this was the postseason he would have. But he's done this before, where he's had maybe not this mediocre of a regular season, or you can call it bad even this year. But then the October hits, and he hits two long doubles, gets them on the board. That was important, I thought, in the first inning. Gets them on the board, and has two more big at bats later in the game. Hits the single, hits another double. Is in the middle of basically everything. Makes the brilliant defensive play to end the game, getting Pena. That was an unbelievable play too. I mean, some guys are just built differently. You don't understand what it is until you see it, but if you're the Twins, this is a guy that obviously you want on your side when it's playoff time.
Yeah, I've been saying now for weeks that as 30 double plays and the whole thing, and lament this and that, but this club would be so much less classy if they didn't have him playing shortstop. Kyle Farmer, God love him. Think of the fact if he plays 150 games at shortstop instead of Carlos Correa. Think of the difference in plays that would be made. And he makes those plays, and you're not really surprised. And it's now the one I will say, the one for the last out that surprised me. That surprised
was awfully
me. But
good.
and he had about three others that were just really, really solid. And yeah, he's a magnificent shortstop. I guess I should have known how good a shortstop he is. They gave some people who know voted him the platinum glove his last year in Houston, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Best defensive player in the American League. But you see it every day, and I give him a lot of credit. He came back here for $100 million less than he thought he would be making. Now you might say, okay, he's making $200 million, blah blah blah. Yeah, but he and his agent thought he was going to be making $300 million. So and he played until that last week when he ripped his foot, the plantar fasciitis thing, which broke and apparently is the best thing that ever happened to him. But
right.
Until he missed that week, he'd started all but 5 games at shortstop. So he leads them in at bats by 100 at the end of the year. He played more than anybody on the team, and he never begged out of the lineup, and was just fantastic. And it's funny that they had the baseball writers vote for the MVP of the team that we always do. And, I ended up voting for Durant because he didn't win, because I don't know who won, but it wasn't him, because they had some kind of a vote off afterwards for 2 other guys. But the MVP of this team is Correa. I really think he's, just because of what he does in the middle of the infield. And also, it looks like people look at the game and they say, well, he comes in, he imposes himself on every meeting. Yeah, but he has smart stuff to say. That's why he imposes himself on that meeting. So wonderful instincts for baseball, and a really great player who, you'd like him to get a little more clutch hits when the season's on, but you also love having him on the team. So, and they come home now. They got Sonny Gray pitching. You got to think they got a shot. You certainly don't want to go back to Houston, but if you go back to Houston, you'd have Pablo pitching Game 5, and if he throws the ball like he did yesterday, it's not like you're going to know him better.
No.
If you're facing him, because he can change everything. He could come out and throw a lot of changeups to start the game, and then you're in trouble. So yeah, it's kind of fun, and they did. Isn't it amazing how quick it turned for this team? Those two, that they win the 2 tight playoff games. They were both fun. The first night last week, they had a sellout that was kind of like artificial, because the tickets were $4 if you went to StubHub or something.
Right.
But the next night, the next day, it was real. The people really wanted to be there, and now they've sold out Game 3 and 4 already. So, and then you look around the rest of the town, this looks pretty good.
Yeah, we'll get to some of that stuff in a little bit. But Pablo, he throws 5 pitches, right? And he can
he does, at least,
He's got the fastball, changeup, and a bunch of breaking balls. And
Wainwright, who was on the broadcast with trying to fit a word in edgewise with AJ, which isn't easy. But he did a really good job of saying how he kept saying that the slider is new, that's that the last couple of years he's added that breaking. He had the good changeup, good fastball, and a little bit of a curveball. But he was talking like the slider has made him a different pitcher. He also had a great quote about, Louis Arai is a great hitter, but he said, did you hear him say? He said, look at the legs on that guy. You trade that guy, meaning as a pitcher, I'm sure that Wainwright, who was a great pitcher, and a long-standing pitcher, he can recognize a pitcher built for the long haul, and he certainly did with Lopez last night. He was really good.
Yeah,
I thought his observations were terrific.
Yeah, I thought he was too. I think the crew was good. I could do Patrick without Reusse, Lewis, and a rundown. Well, I don't know what that was.
Yeah, I don't know, but he's ready to play third base. He was
Should be if
running like he was running
yeah, I
hard.
know it. He was.
Well, he also hauled rear end from
Yes.
first to third on that play,
Yep.
and I mean that's him running. So if he can do that, put him at third base because he certainly looked healthy then. But yeah, the rundown was. Yeah, I could have gone without the slide, the crazy attempt to score there.
Stopping and starting.
Was that a Jeffers brainstorm?
I don't know. I didn't see the post.
Because he had like three safety squeezes this year, and I think he once in a while overthinks the things,
yeah.
I can't believe that. The game ended so late, we really didn't get to see a lot of comments like that. But I would like to find out from Rocco if that was something that he would have recommended from Jeffers, because it could have ended Lewis's season in a heartbeat. There, it was pretty stupid. A very interesting thing, though. He's catching Jeffers every game.
Yeah,
wants the offense and wants the hitting, and it's quite a change because. It was interesting because I've heard from people who know that that most of the pitchers would rather pitch to Vasquez, kind of like Houston. They'd rather pitch to Maldonado down there, even though he couldn't get a hit if he, save his life, and that they'd rather pitch to. And Pablo, in the second inning, said, "Come on out here. I want to tell you how we're going to do this." He waved him out to the mound and said, so I don't know about that, but yeah, I was with you on that play. I was saying, what is this? This could not have been ordered from the dugout. So
no, but I did like that. They decided they're trying to add on late. They decide to pinch hit Julian for. That must have been who they pinch hit him for Farmer late. But I'm like, well, this hurts your defensive alignment. But they, instead of keeping Julian in the game, and I know there's defensive metrics that say he got better at second base. I don't like him at second base still. I think he's better either DHing or pinch hitting. So they instead keep Polanco at second and put Castro at third and Stevenson in left and let Julian come out of the game. I think I was worried that they were going to go back to their game, their early alignment of
Julian at second,
and Polanco at third, which is not a good infield defense, especially Polanco at third.
I actually now worry more about Polanco at third than I do Julian at second. Jorge is just out of his element over at third because he's not used to making that throw, and he kind of throws that sidearm. So, yeah, I agree with you. But Lewis looks like he's ready to play third, so put him at third. I have one more day off. You got a day off today, and, I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing third on Tuesday. So, it's hard to complain about anything last night. That was good. That was really fun. My only complaint is it took 3 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's still not bad
creep.
though.
Not bad, but it's time creep. We got serious time creep here, but you also got to realize that in the postseason you get an extra, 30 seconds at least later on. You advance another round after this, you get an extra minute between innings. So. But you get extra time between innings, so it's not bad. But it's still over 3 hours. I don't like that. So.
I agree. Now goes back to Target Field on Tuesday. And
wear your long underwear if you're coming to the game. It's going to be I think the low is going to be 37 or 8.
Those are both afternoon games, though. For now,
yeah, that's true.
The Wednesday game could move, right?
Yeah.
If Texas finishes off,
it's going to move. Baltimore can't beat Texas. Baltimore's pitching. You could see this coming with the Orioles when they lost Bautista, but their pitching started to falter in the last month of the season. They still kept winning more games than they lost, but that Texas lineup, they're good. And the game Wednesday's very likely to be although maybe Baltimore can sneak. If Baltimore sneaks one out, right, then you still, if Baltimore wins Tuesday, then you don't have to play a night game Wednesday, right?
Yeah,
So,
because they would still be game
yeah,
4 on Wednesday for
yeah,
them too.
yeah,
So it kind of depends on what happens.
go
Yeah.
Orioles, come on. Although
You
I
want that
think
one
that
o'clock
one's like
Wednesday game? Yeah.
one, too. Oh, we'll be
Yeah.
complaining about the shadows then.
The
So,
Shadows, yes. Well,
oh,
maybe that will favor whoever they pitch in that game. Probably that's got to be Joe Ryan, right? I mean, that's going to
yeah,
be Joe Ryan
they're
game
going to
4.
pitch Joe Ryan. Yeah, Ober was. A lot of people were complaining about Ober
Game
and
1.
not beforehand, afterwards, but
Yeah.
I liked that move. I thought he had a chance to get him out. He just, when you throw your first pitch and Altuve hits it for a home run, that's not the way you want to start. But of the two of them, I would have taken over Ryan in game 1 too. So I had no complaints with that. I think Ober actually, when you go through the most of the season, I think Ober was better than Ryan. Ryan was really good early, but that's not a. But Ryan will get the chance on Wednesday, I'm sure.
Grand Casino would like to take a moment and salute the true football fan. The passion, the hope, the anticipation, that incomparable feeling of winning. Grand Casino would also like to take a moment to remind you that you can find all that anticipation, thrill, and winning at Grand Casino. Grand Casino, let your story begin.
This feels like it's going 5, doesn't it? I mean, I just can't see Houston dropping these next 2. They're still too good. They've still got too many guys that can do damage in that lineup that at some point they're gonna at least win one of these, and I feel like the Twins will too. I feel like we're what let's say the Twins win. Let's say the Twins win Tuesday. Sonny Gray, I like that matchup, but then what does Houston, do you think, do in game 4 if they're down 2-1? Do they try to hurry Verlander back, or what do they do? Do they take their chances in the offense?
So. I don't think he's not what he used to be. He's he was good the other day, but it's not what it used to be. It doesn't frighten you anymore, and they don't have they're not deep with their starters, and the lefty Valdez not being as good as he was the previous years as it was helpful last night, but. They don't have. They got their own pitching problems. They don't really have the guy you'd like to. I'm not sure what his options are, but I can't imagine him rushing Verlander, because then, maybe, who knows? Verlander'd certainly take the ball if they wanted to give him to him. That's for sure. But that's pitching 3 days rest.
3 days rest. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what they do. I have no idea. So
I guess maybe the other point of that too would be that they would be back to Valdez for game 5, and he got knocked around pretty good. So I don't know what
they still have a lot of faith in him for what he's done for him in the past, but he's just not been as sharp. Man, when they beat the Twins in that pandemic series, he was good, and back then, they didn't have a chance against him. So.
What is the difference now, though, man? I mean, the Twins have had good teams in the playoffs. That when they lost, I know they didn't hit a ton until this game last night, but yesterday.
I'd say the difference is that you started Randy Dobnak in a game 2, and last night you started Pablo Lopez in a game 2. I'd say that's an upgrade.
That is an upgrade.
You started Brian Dunsey. God love him. I loved him. In a game 1, you don't have to start Brian Dunsey in a game 1 with this team. It's starting pitching, basically. It's pitching depth. It's also the bullpen. The bullpen's got, as I pointed out, that when Barrios got hooked here,
which was terrible.
After we got 5 good innings, well, it was terrible here, but when he got hooked for the Twins after 5 1-run innings, they brought in Cody Stashak. You don't have to bring in Cody Stashak now. You can bring in Brock Stewart throwing 98, Louis Varland, and all the rest of them. I mean, you got this is the deepest bullpen. I've still got faith in Thielbar, even though everybody's down on him. But this is the deepest bullpen I think they might ever had. Now you got to go back to the idea. You know, I go back to the '60s when the bullpen was 4 guys. So
right.
you pitch the same guy. You know, you pitch the same guy every day if you needed him in the postseason. And of course, the postseason is so much different now. You got to win 13 games instead of 8. You know, and then back in the day, you had to win 4 to win the World Series. So it's a completely different. You know, I mean, look at how many. Let's say if they go. If they would make it the World Series, Lopez is gonna be way over 200 innings by then.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna be 200 innings. I mean, you almost have to protect these guys. Everybody complains, nobody pitches 200 innings anymore. Well, if you got a good club, you get the postseason, you got a chance to make 6 more starts, for goodness sake. So it's a different world, that's for sure. You know what we're gonna, the whine we're gonna hear now, though. I heard some guy hearing this. If Philadelphia beats Atlanta and Arizona beats the Dodgers, well, it's now an advantage to if you don't play that first series, your team loses its edge or something like that. So I said, okay, give them their choice. You're the number 1 seed. Do you want to play a first round series or do you not want to play a first round series? You make the choice. Right?
Do you want to have a chance to set your pitching staff and not play a series where you could lose? Like, come on.
Yes, yeah. But it's funny how baseball is always held to a different standard than all other sports. All other sports can, screw around in the postseason and do anything. You can have the Seattle Seahawks playing at home in a first-round playoff game with a 7-9 record,
right?
But that's okay because it's the NFL, and but the baseball is always held to a higher standard for some reason.
Well, and it's getting ahead of ourselves. We'll get to some other stuff in just a minute. It's getting ahead of ourselves too. But I mean, if Texas does finish off Baltimore and the Twins do advance, Twins would have home field in the ALCS, which is something I didn't imagine they would have at any point. So they've got
That's true.
They've got that going for them. They've been pretty good at home this year and in the postseason this year and in the postseason historically, at least dating back further. Although they had a long home playoff losing streak for a while, but it's just I don't know. I don't want to get too you don't want to read too much into 4 games, but they look different. It is the pitching. It's. They hadn't had a whole lot of clutch hitting until that game the other night, but Lewis certainly looks the part. Correa looks the part. Enough other guys, Farmer, you get the kind of unexpected offense. They're built right. I don't know if they're going to win this series, but they're built right. And that leads me to a final point. A friend of mine texted me and said, "Can you get Reusse to say something nice about Derek Falvey off of this postseason?" I was like, I'll try.
Well, I haven't been that hard on him, really. I mean, I haven't been bashed him. I just, a lot of moves that they've traded for a lot of guys who had bad arms too.
Yes,
Tyler Mahle, and they traded 2 very good prospects, both of whom probably be on your roster for a guy with a bad arm. And there's other instances of this. I think that I've always, I've never been one saying fire Falvey, but they've made some moves that were very questionable, spent a lot of money, and they weren't good. They weren't going to have Carlos Correa. It was a one and done deal when they made it, and so it's not like he went out and got Carlos Correa. Scott Boras came and put a big red ribbon around him and handed him to you last year, and everybody knew it was a 1-year deal. And then, luckily for you, a lot of people reneged, and you ended up getting him back here, and you found out you got a really professional, wonderful shortstop. And they've had good things happen to him, but the fact that this whole thing has been plotted out to be like this is, I'm not sure if we can get that excited about them. They finally brought up some prospects that actually gave them. That's what changed this team. Basically, Royce Lewis, Julian, can hit. He replaced Julian replaced Louis, our Rise, basically. And Wallner's, Wallner emerging as the best of those left-handed hitting outfielders is now he's, I don't know if he's, he's going to be a 220 hitter, but he's going to also hit 30 home runs if you let him play. But those guys came along. There was nothing in their plans to have Matt Wallner in the outfield in the playoffs. That was something that just happened, and they've been okay. But there's the big trade that they made, Reusse for Lopez, has worked out for them extremely well. So
they've been okay. I guess we'll take that. The one thing you wrote the other day, and then we'll get to Vikings here in a minute. The one thing you wrote the other day that struck me was how much different they are from what they started out the season to be. When you said just now how much the plan has changed. I mean, they're complete. The plan at the beginning of the year, you had a whole bunch of guys in this lineup that aren't in the lineup anymore. I mean, they had to pivot, and like mid-year, we were talking about, are these guys going to have jobs? Like that was how bad it was.
Right. Yeah. Now I got to say, I was never in fire Falvey, but I don't care what happens. You're never going to explain to me why you gave $11 million to Joey Gallo or $10 million to Joey Gallo, because you brought in a guy who hit 160 last year and struck out 40% of the time, and he topped that. He struck out 45% of the time this year, and it never made any sense. So a lot of the things we ripped them for are still rippable, but it doesn't make any difference now because you don't have Joey Gallo in the lineup anymore.
No, you don't even have him on the roster.
You don't have him on the roster. They got 5 guys who started that game who aren't on the roster. Who started opening day aren't on the roster.
It's amazing.
Jose Miranda. I mean, look back. They think that this Miranda might be able to hold down third base for us. He's, he might emerge this year as your 5 hitter. He's, he'll be released. He'll be out of the organization. So it's not like, I'll say one thing. They were adaptable. When things went bad, they were adaptable. But I've never been a get rid of these guys and the whole analytic. Oh, there's too much analytics. I'm not into that. That's the new modern game. And the fact is, if you watch Twitter or something, these idiots are still ripping Rocco for taking out his pitchers too early. And I think they had the fourth most innings from starters of anybody in the league. Now, last year, when you got Chris Archer and Dylan Bundy, you're going to take your pitchers out early. You don't have those guys this year anymore.
No, you don't. No. Well, we'll see what happens Tuesday. This is a fun series. It's been a fun playoff so far. It's just good to watch. It's good to watch good baseball in the playoffs. They're playing good baseball in the playoffs.